Let's decorate a happy little cake together. Well, first we have to bake it. So I'm going to get my 2 cups of flour. Of course, it's gluten-free. Next, what we're going to add is going to be some baking powder. Just kidding, salt. I'm adding salt. Now, time for baking powder. And then we need a little bit of baking soda. And essentially what this is making is just a baker's mix. And I'm going to whisk it all together real quick, just to get everything combined evenly. And it kind of breaks up your flour so it makes it a little bit more fluffy. Next, we're going to be doing our liquids, and I'm using coconut oil instead of vegetable oil. I'm just going to microwave it to melt it a little bit. Adding in some water. And I need 1 egg. I actually didn't have enough sugar for this recipe, so I just used whatever I had left. It needed 3/4 of a cup, but it's a little bit short, so it's not going to be as sweet of a cake, which is fine with me, I suppose. Next, what I need to add in is going to be vinegar. And I'm just using a white vinegar. This is almond extract. Just gonna add some of that. I love almond flavored cake. And then I need vanilla. My vanilla is always really hard to open. Just a tablespoon of vanilla. And then once that's all in the bowl together, I'm going to go ahead and whisk this really quick too, just to get everything incorporated. And now I'm going to be adding my dry ingredients to my wet ingredients. Just a little bit more to add here. Just gonna break up the flour, mix it together a little bit slowly. Try to break up some of these lumps that's in here. I think I'm just gonna add the rest. And just mix the rest of it in all together. So what's your favorite flavor of cake? My favorite flavor is banana cake, and I've always been a fan of strawberry cake too. I should make a banana flavored cake, but I don't know where I would get the banana flavor. Alright, that's all mixed together pretty nicely. So next what we need to do is get our cake pan. And what I'm going to do is just rub it down with a little bit of coconut oil. It is a non-stick pan, so you don't need too much. If you're using something like aluminum or something that's not non-stick, definitely do like a non-stick butter and flour combination. But I don't need that here. This batter's pretty thick, so my cake's gonna turn out pretty dense. I don't know if that's just the recipe that I'm following, or maybe I forgot an ingredient. Who knows? I'm sure it'll taste fine. And since it is so dense, I know my top layer is going to come out however it is spread out, so I'm just trying to make it look nice. Wiggle it to get the cake to the edges. And this bakes for about 30 minutes. Alright, all done baking. So I'm just going to take my cake out of the pan so it can cool. I sometimes like to smush my cake a little bit so I can get the top of it flat. Try to flip it over here without breaking it. I know you're supposed to let it cool in the pan, but I like to break the rules sometimes. Nice and springy. Now let's decorate it. So I'm going to put my coupler in the tip of this, and if you want to learn how to cut it, you just have to poke your hand all the way down so you can get your coupler in easy. Untwist the cap here. This is my favorite style, where it has a closed coupler. It doesn't have that crease in it. Just push it all the way to the end, and then what you're going to do is pinch the top of it. And then that's where you're going to cut, is where you pinched. And then that gives you the perfect cut. And this is one of my favorite tips. It's the Wilton number 8. It's a round tip, and I'm going to use this for my borders. So I'm just getting my bag ready real quick. And I know it's going to be kind of hard to see, but if you fill your bag, you want to roll down the edges so you don't get frosting on the edge of it, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to show in this video, but you can see how I folded down my edge here a little bit better. And I've got some nice purple buttercream that I'm going to use on the top of my cake. Just going to stir it real quick. Just need a little bit. I don't like too much frosting. This is going to be a little bit hard to spread around because my cake isn't really attached to a board. I used a little bit of buttercream on the bottom of it to help, but it's sliding around a little bit. So if you go around in a circle starting in the center of your cake, it spreads out evenly. You just want to get it all the way to the edges, and then holding your spatula straight, just getting that nice flat surface. And since this is just a home cake, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time making it look perfect, but this is good enough. So I'm going to get my yellow buttercream here, and I'm going to use this on my edges. Just got to stir it up real quick. Alright, I'm going to get my piping bag ready. Not sure if you can see in the background, but if you scoop your buttercream, you can scrape it onto the side of your hand when it's covered by the bag. And that makes it easier to get inside of the bag too, instead of just globbing it and plopping it into your bag. Just using your hand as like a kind of a cup barrier. And you don't need a lot in your bag because you can always refill it. If you overfill your bag, you're going to end up hurting your hands. So I'll usually do about a handful of frosting to start off with. And then we're just going to start on one side of the cake by piping. My hands are a little bit shaky, so this isn't going to come out perfect. But this is one of my favorite borders to do. It's just a simple little bead border. And you're just squeezing and pulling. Squeeze, pull, squeeze, pull, squeeze, pull. You're not really trying to draw on the shape. You want to just let the frosting do the work for you. Almost done here with this part. There we go. Nice little bead border. And I think I'm going to add a second border. So I'm going to change my tip out here and get a different one. And I'm just going to use a star tip, and starting in the same spot where I started my bead border. And we're just squeezing and pulling. Squeeze, pull, squeeze, pull, squeeze, pull. So I make roses on sticks. I'm trying to show you, but the camera's trying to focus and it's not really focusing, so we're just gonna go with it. You wanna make the top of your rose first. And then what you do is you'll make a base underneath that center of your rose. Yeah, sorry it's not focusing. But I'll try to explain the best that I can. So there's your base. You'll want to start where your rose is, let's see, where it's closing together. That's where you're going to start. And you'll just 2, 3, counting in my head makes it easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is usually about good for a rose. Then it's ready to be pulled off with your scissors. Just slide it up off the stick and you can place it onto your cake. I'm going to try one more time to make a rose and see if it focuses better. But here you can see where I've placed it on my cake. It looks pretty. Not my best rose, not using the best frosting either. It's a little bit soft. Always start with a clean tip. You don't want any globs left over from the last rose. And again, we're going to start by making the center on the tip of our stick. We'll make our base. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good enough. This rose is a little bit funny looking to my liking, but it'll do. We're making a happy little cake. And I just place them together. They look more like cabbage roses than just regular roses. And then we'll just do a couple of little rose buds. And I think I'm going to put some writing on my cake because why not? We're making a happy cake, so we're going to write happy cake. And my hands are shaking, so bear with me. Sorry the camera's not focusing. I wish it would. Happy and cake. Happy cake. There we go, got it to focus. Getting your wording centered is easier the more that you practice. You just kind of have to eyeball where the center of your cake is and just kind of go from there. And there we go, an easy decorated at-home cake. Here's a couple of borders I'm going to show you. The pearl border, just squeezing, squeezing, and pulling. And then a scalloped border. This one's a little bit more difficult. It does take practice to get it down, but it's one of my favorites to do. It looks a lot better on a sheet cake. And this one is done with the Wilton number 8, a round tip. That's what I did there. Next, I'm going to do a couple of shell borders, and I'm just using the Wilton number 21 tip. Just squeezing and pulling, don't draw your borders. And then we'll do a reverse shell border. And those are a couple of basic borders that you can do, easy peasy. Let's see. There is a rope border that you can do, and you just crisscross, cross, criss, cross, criss, cross. Just like that. I think those are probably the easiest to start off with if you're wanting to learn to decorate cakes. It's really just about pressure and angles. If you can get those down, it can be easier. I'm going to try to do some flowers. It's going to be hard because I can't turn the mat, so they might look a little bit messy like this one. That looks really bad. Let's try a rosebud. Cute. I'm gonna try to do that flower one more time. I think I can do it better than that. That looks a little bit better. And then you can also make flowers with your round tips. You can make some cute little daisies. I'll go ahead and show you that one here real quick. Let me just get my tip switched around to my yellow. And you're using that same technique that you do with the pearl border, just pulling, and there's a cute little daisy. And those are just a couple of the easier things that I have to show you. If you want more cake decorating, let me know.